today, and I'm sharing this testimony from the UK. So I got married in April 2021, but by June the following year, I suffered 2 miscarriages, both at 8 weeks. And I remember after the second miscarriage, I confided in a very good friend of mine now, Osai. She was really praying for me, and she spoke very passionately about this prayer platform, urging me to join, but I never did. And neither did I conceive again for the rest of that year. That's 2022. And then January 2023, it was the same thing. February, my husband and I decided to try IVF. And I remember coming back from that initial consultation really depressed. After hearing the sort of procedures involved and the kind of money we were looking at. On top of all that, the consultant said my chances of success were low because at that point I was already in my 40s. Anyway, that same February, I made up my mind to join NSPPD for the first time. By March, I began to feel pregnancy symptoms. And on the 17th of April 2023, I tested positive. That was on my second wedding anniversary. Things went smoothly until August when I had my 20th week scan. And the scan then showed that the baby's kidneys were enlarged. And they said come back in September for another scan. September I went, it was exactly the same story. October, the same story. That October, I was referred to Fetal medicine. So Fetal medicine are experts that diagnose and treat medical conditions in unborn babies. The Fetal medicine guys confirmed exactly the same thing, that the kidneys were larger than normal. And then they now said again that the systema magna, that is a part of the brain, that it was also larger than normal. And that the hypothesis was that could be the reason why the kidney wasn't getting enough signals to release urine. So instead of passing out urine, it was just accumulating and even flowing back to the ureters. And I was just dumbfounded because that was obviously a good shock to me. And another thing they said was that enlargement of the systema magna could be linked to chromosomal abnormalities. And they said try to do an MRI scan to get a clearer picture, or try to do amniocentesis, something like that, where they test the amniotic fluid for chromosomal abnormalities. But I just kind of declined both options, and I told them to give me time to think about everything and process it. Well, they said at the end of it, they said come back in November. That was the following month. November, I went back. It was exactly the same story. And then I remember my husband saying that, assuming what they are suggesting is what it is, that what was the way out? And the fetal medicine consultant was like, it's either we manage the condition for the rest of the child's life, or we terminate the pregnancy. That was another option. I still declined the MRI and amniocentesis. I declined both of them, and I was like, I'm sure everything. I was confident that this NSPPD prayers won't go just like that for nothing. Anyway, Pastor Jerry, all around that time, he kept declaring. For example, on the 14th of November, he said, God is reversing every congenital illness.
Congenital abnormalities, give way. Right now.
I shouted amen to that, of course. One big thing I cannot leave out, Pastor, and everyone listening to me, is that on the 24th of November, still 2023, he said something on the morning prayer. He said, I see a pregnant woman. You are a sickle cell patient. Look at complications. It is almost life-threatening. By the power that raised Jesus from the dead, let it be reversed.
I see a pregnant woman. You are a sickler. Look at complications. Look at complications. It's almost life-threatening. The devil is a liar. If you want to keep back your testimony, by the power that raised Jesus from the dead, I announce, let it be reversed.
And that was just me. And I was like, just thanking God for victory, because at that point I was heavily pregnant, like I said. I was 8 or 9 months pregnant, and I was SS as well. I had this SS illness, and all I could do was just to say thank God for victory. To cut the long story short, on the 11th of December last year, I had my baby, a bouncing baby boy, Joshua. And another way the devil tried to come in and steal the joy was that I heard him cry the moment he was born. I heard him scream. But a few minutes later, all the doctors and consultants were there trying to resuscitate him for almost about 5 or 10 minutes. And eventually, everything became stable again. And when he was taken to the neonatal ward later, all the tests that were conducted on him, including the brain, the cisterna magna, the kidneys, the ureters, everything came back normal. And I remember my husband coming to meet me in the ward and saying, guess what? Because at that time, what they believed, because the day he was born, because doctors were still like, they believed that he still couldn't pass urine, so they were all on ground to examine him. And Landa was like, immediately they took off his diapers, my son peed all over the consultants, and I was like, oh my goodness, sorry doctor, that's just our evidence, the evidence we talk about every day on the fire altar. And here we are, a year after. Mother is alive and kicking, baby is hale and healthy, even father is in overall sound health. And we are just here to say thank you, Pastor Jerry, for sacrificing so much of your time to pray with us. And I join the millions of others to say, may the oil on your head never run dry.